Caringal Flats is quite a unique building given that there's one flat per floor. Each floor has 4 aspects with a lift going up directly into each flat. I sought to reverse years of unsympathetic alterations and neglect by stripping the flat back to its original form, maintaining all the soft round edges and beautiful white textural surfaces, and adding a series of contemporary interventions with sharp, straight edges and uniformly black joinery pieces. I'm Ben Alul, architect and founder of Alul Architecture, and I live in this flat with my partner Jen and my Italian greyhound Vinny. Caringal Flats is located in Toorak in Melbourne, Australia. Toorak's 10 minutes on the train from the Melbourne CBD. It's a tree-lined suburb with lots of substantial single properties in it and a few older apartment buildings. Caringal Flats were built in 1951 on the lands of the Wurundjeri people. The heritage-listed flats were designed by architect J.W. Rivet and consist of 3 buildings, the Crescent, the Tower and the garage. A series of sky bridges link the buildings together. The flats were known for their striking coral and blue colour scheme, and this was painted beige in the 80s. Recently, it was restored back to its original colour scheme. When we purchased the flat, the first thing we noticed was how much light was in here, and so we wanted to really enhance and maintain the level of light in the building. This was a labour of love for many years. I owned the apartment for 5 years before we undertook the renovation, so it was just worked on over time and details were refined and sketched whenever I had some spare time. All the rooms were very individualised. The bedroom was separated by a series of sliding doors. Off the living area, there's also a kitchen that was separated from that area with a door. What I set out to do was to open the space up. I removed all the doors from the kitchens and lobby areas and then inserted a freestanding joinery piece to separate the bedroom from the living area. The bathroom was quite large given the size of the flat, so we consolidated that down to fit a laundry and a hot water service and then a smaller bathroom space. There's an original lift which services each flat. You step directly out of the lift into the lobby of the apartment. There's a storage closet which also acts as Vinny's bedroom. This also houses some additional storage for larger items like vacuums, brooms and mops and shoes. I designed and made a series of benches for the flat, one of which lives in the lobby, which is a handy spot when you come home to dump your items down and take your shoes off. When you step through the steel reveal into the main living area, you're greeted with the original floor-to-ceiling glazing with expansive views over the city of Melbourne. I've laid a series of sheer curtains and blinds to moderate the harsh afternoon light. All the furniture was deliberately kept low so that the view to the city was not obstructed. With the amount of glazing, there was no logical spot for a TV. A custom solution saw the TV housed in a joinery piece elevated on legs, tying it into the other elements in the flat. In order to maintain the clean lines of the heritage flat, the air conditioner was concealed in a low-level custom-made sideboard. It also provides a useful ledge to store items on. At the centre of the living room is a custom dining table in a muted green colour. The green references the foliage outside. All the furniture is easily movable, so we can open the space up. We have a matching table in storage which can be brought up when we're hosting. We use the benches that are normally positioned against the walls for the additional seating, and we can seat 14. The size of the table makes it easy to work from home during the week with my Asus Zen screen setup while we continue to eat and dine at the table. If I'm going to be doing a small task for the evening, I'll use the monitor with the kickstand, but if I'm setting it up for a few days, I'll use the adjustable arm. Everything was selected for the flat was really considered, so it was important that any monitor that I use also has that same sleek, contemporary design. Given space is a premium, the compact nature of the monitor makes it easy to stow away when not in use. To separate the living room from the bedroom, we inserted a freestanding joinery piece which is elevated off the floor and held off the ceiling to maintain a sense of space whilst maintaining privacy. It's divided into 3 sections, the first for display with pigeonholes below for each of us, the second bar and miscellaneous storage, and the last as an extension of the kitchen as a pantry and a space for pots and pans. The kitchen consists of 2 freestanding joinery units that has the same design language as the room divider. One side has a low-level workbench with integrated sink and dishwasher, with views over the city, great for when you're washing up. The other side has a cooktop and a fridge. Given the small room size, we created a deeper than standard kitchen to create a ledge for additional appliances at the back. This extra depth also allowed us to accommodate a full-size fridge. The black and stainless steel kitchen is in direct counterpoint to the warm textures of the apartment. The small format mosaic tiles are sympathetic to the original design intent of the building. The door in the kitchen leads to the rear stairs, connecting the flat to the rest of the complex. These stairs look out over the common walkways and sky bridges, which provides an opportunity to bump into neighbouring residents. On the other side of the room divider is the bedroom, with a large east-facing window. Like the living room, the furniture in the bedroom is deliberately low to the ground to maintain views out of the window. The benches also appear in the bedroom, some as bedside tables and another against the wall. The reverse side of the room divider provides our robe storage. These are deeper than the living room side in order to accommodate a standard hanger. The top of the joinery unit aligns to the top of the windows, whilst the legs align to the top of the skirting boards. The added bonus is that it allows for crossflow ventilation and light to spread between spaces. On the other side of the room divider, there's another punched opening containing a series of doors. One door is to the bathroom and the other door conceals a laundry. Whilst the flats have a communal laundry downstairs, the way we live, it was really important for us to have access to our own washing machine. In order to accommodate a laundry, the bathroom had to be consolidated. The compact bathroom contains a full-size shower, toilet and vanity. This required the relocation of plumbing. The floor is clad in an era-appropriate terrazzo, and the smaller mosaics that are in the kitchen are used on the walls. This creates a sense of light in the space. A series of mirrors back onto the service zone beyond, providing deep above mirror storage. Design shouldn't dictate the way people live, it should enhance it. So I think when designing a small space, it's really important to understand the needs of the client, or in this case, what our needs were. Functionality needs to come first and everything else is second to that. People often think that living in an apartment is a compromise. I think this flat is an example of how, with careful restoration and considered intervention, heritage housing stock can be updated to provide a platform for modern living.
This building was constructed in 1971, which is within the post-war era. The primary inspiration of the apartment was the featurism elements of post-war architecture, which includes things like timber panelling, mosaic tiles, and terrazzo floors. The Materiality was selected to complement the internal courtyard garden, also to bring in some traditional modernist architecture design features. My name is Alex Antoniadis. I'm an urban planner, lover of post-war architecture and owner-occupier of this apartment. This apartment building is located in Brunswick, Melbourne, on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people. Cafes are a big part of Brunswick, also the bars and shops. I grew up in Brunswick, so it's sort of a full circle moment being back in the area and purchasing my apartment. The apartment was very ordinary when I purchased it. There was vinyl flooring in the bathroom and kitchen, and the rest of the apartment was carpeted. Most of the original floor plan is intact, except for the living and kitchen space where the internal wall was removed to provide an open living plan. By removing the wall, it enabled natural light to improve in the apartment, as well as providing a space to eat or to use as an office area with the pop-out table. The first thing that you see when you walk into the apartment is a view of the living space in the kitchen, and to the right you see the balcony which overlooks the internal courtyard. The living space comprises a 3-seater couch with a chaise. I wanted it to have a separation of space but also be used as a conversational kind of element. The intention of using the timber feature wall was to provide a nice contrast between the TV unit and the popcorn ceiling, and it provides a nice frame of the space. I selected the TV unit to be wall hung to provide a bit more negative space underneath, and this also complements the couch. Also, it's easy to vacuum. The balcony is a really nice space because it has direct sunlight in the afternoon. The original balcony balustrade is burgundy, and this was retained to give a little bit of contrast between the outlook of the greenery and the internal tonal colours. The balcony floor was previously concreted, so I decided to tile the balcony with rectangular burgundy tiles to tie it back into the balustrade, which is a more neutral tone of burgundy. There is a buffet which used to be used as a dining space. Above the buffet is a mirror which matches the window trims of the apartment. Originally the kitchen was separated by a brick wall. The wall was removed and a steel powder-coated beam was installed, and this enabled the space to be completely opened up. To maximise the kitchen space, the pantry is centrally located beneath the beam which runs through it. The custom kitchen is clad in timber birch plywood, which provides a natural feel to the apartment. It includes an integrated fridge, 1-drawer dishwasher, washing machine which is concealed, pop-out table which is retractable, and lots of storage capacity for things. The splashback has been tiled around the window frame and extends to the top of the ceiling, so the ceilings appear higher. My favourite part of the kitchen is my design of the kitchen dining space, which retracts in and out of the cupboard space. It was important that this space was flexible to enable the kitchen to be used for other purposes. Depending on if it's just me having dinner by myself versus having some friends over, the whole dynamic of the apartment changes. When the table is not in use, the dining chairs slot under the bench which is located on the balcony. The entry to the bedroom includes a 3-panelled fluted steel glass door. The fluted glass door provides privacy as well as natural light to be filtered into the other rooms of the apartment. The bedroom is quite large, so it contains a desk which is used for working from home, which has an outlook to the internal courtyard. I previously owned the queen-size koala bed and really liked it. However, the base was too wide. I cut the base of the bed either side equally to ensure that the door could close properly. There is a full-size wall-to-wall wardrobe which has sliding doors. This contains hanging space for clothing, as well as drawers and an overhead storage compartment. The timber cladding around the nib wall to the entry of the bathroom is the same as the feature wall in the living space. The bathroom has the same door as the bedroom space for the same purposes, provides natural light and privacy. The shower screen is also constructed in the same fluted glass to provide continuity in the apartment. I decided to choose the sage green tiles because it provided a nice colour element to the apartment. The tiling from floor to ceiling was intentionally used to make the ceilings appear higher. There is a floating vanity unit which contains drawers and storage. Above there is 3 panels of glass mirror which also has integrated storage behind. The flooring throughout the whole apartment is locally sourced terrazzo grey tiles. This provides a seamless design and makes the apartment feel larger. And I decided to keep the original popcorn ceiling to pay homage to the original design. The selection of track lighting was used to provide flexibility, and also there is a feature for the lighting to change colours at night, which provides a nice mood and setting. The good thing about this apartment is the easy accessibility to the storage unit, which is located next to the front door. It's a good place to store items which aren't used often, like suitcases, brooms, mops, etc. In Australia, we have a tendency to demolish rather than adapt old buildings. So as an urban planner, I do see the benefits of these older complexes because of the structural integrity side of things that they present. The importance of reusing and adapting compared to demolishing buildings is really important, because this presents an opportunity to utilise what we already have in a more flexible and well-considered way.
This is a 27 meter square apartment. It's just one big room. So the tricks we use is to try to break up and create different experiences within the space. A lot of little pockets, vibes and moods. It's about meandering, extending the journey. That gives you the illusion of space.
I'm Heidi.
I'm Jack. We're from Thai Design. We're an architectural and interiors design studio based in Geelong, Victoria. This apartment is located in St Kilda. It's a famous beach suburb in Melbourne. So there's a good mix of old and new buildings and cafes and pub just down the street.
It's a close proximity to the major hub of St Kilda and public transportation at the corner as well.
We think this building is built in the 1970s. There's around 52 units and they're all studio apartments. The client's currently based overseas. They spend a few months at a time in Australia.
They want to create a space comfortable for two people to live and work from home.
They're also interested in exploring the potential for this apartment to be used as a short stay accommodation when they're not in the country.
The original apartment is quite tired and really need a refresh. The bathroom is awkwardly placed and is the first thing you see when you enter the space. The bathroom ceiling is dipping and we found a bird nest in the roof space, but the big window has great opportunity while capturing the trees in the front.
So structurally, the only change we made was switching the bathroom door to a more discreet location. We also reorientated the kitchen, turning it 90 degrees from the short wall to the window fronts.
We create a hero copper mirrored pot in the center of the apartment. Outside, the idea is to have all the spaces you expect in a house. There is common laundry on the same floor in the building, so the client is actually using the common laundry instead of having a washing machine in the apartment. The moment you walk into the apartment, the first thing catches your eyes is the copper finish joinery, in contrast to the calm and pale palette of the rest of the apartment. We also place a small stool at the entry so people can sit and take off their shoes when they arrive. The copper joinery is the heart of the apartment, wrapping around the existing walls to create a division and intrigue. This joinery is the main storage of the apartment, housing kitchen storage, wardrobe, a fold-up desk, display bookshelf and general storage.
The initial idea of having the mirror copper cladding is to bounce the light around and create a visual distraction from a direct view into the bathroom.
The skirting is mirror finish, which creates an illusion of the floorboard is continuing throughout the space. We use cot flooring throughout the apartment. The cot flooring is a bit softer than timber and have a bit of exaggerated texture, which give a bit more character to the apartment. We created this TV unit for the living room, housing a TV and also more storage, including a storage for vacuum cleaner on the left and more open display shelf.
We created the curve to end the TV unit to create a bit more of a flow. It also mirrors the copper joinery, which also has the same profile. For a small space, every pocket of space you can find, we try to make use of it. We utilize the space above the door, creating a continuous shelf that extends from the TV units all the way into the bedroom. Because there's a curtain that separates the bedroom from the rest of the space, we create an illusion of a continuous shelf just by the alignment.
The kitchen is repositioned in front of the big window, and we extended the kitchen benchtop on top of the windowsill to maximize the prep space. Our client is not a big cook, so the kitchen is designed as a kitchenette setting. We have corian for the benchtop and the sink, so we can create a seamless, continuous surface, and copper tapware to match the copper joinery. Under the bench, we have the bin storage, drawers for cutlery, dishwasher, fridge drawer, and a standalone microwave oven. We integrated the appliances under the bench so we can have a clean, linear kitchen. Rest of the storage are all housed in the copper joinery.
We also play with the internal color of the units, so having the blue in the kitchen section, the yellow for the wardrobe, and the terracotta for the shower space. The coffee nook on the side of the kitchen bench houses the coffee machine, capsules and all. To make it efficient, we have to create a bifold door so it doesn't impede into the sink area.
The dining table also doubles as kitchen island, and the chair can be folded away and stored in the wardrobe. The client themselves came up with a really clever idea of having a couch from E9 design furniture with flexible backings, which enable us to use it for both lounging and dining, simply by repositioning the backrest. Lighting-wise, we have track lighting for the living room and the bedroom, and also wall light for kitchen. We try to avoid having pendant light from the ceiling so that people can focus on the copper joinery. The queen-size bed is at the darkest corner of the apartment, with a block-out curtain to separate from the living area. The block-out curtain actually have linen and a block-out sheet in the middle and then linen on the other side, so it looks like it's linen fabric, but it's actually a block-out curtain. Wardrobe is housed in the copper joinery next to the bed, and there is extra hanging under the overhead shelf. Occasionally, both clients need to have a quick meeting separately, then one can sit at the dining table, while the other one can work on a small fold-up study on the side of the joinery. Above the study table, we have magazine racks, so the client can put their magazine or books or any small display items.
The toilet is just behind the concealed pivot door, which swings both ways for ease of access. While the shower and the vanities is inside the cupboard pod.
There's storage behind the mirror above the sink, and below the sink we also have more extra storage.
The shower area is in terracotta, and then the rest of the space is painted to match the tile color. Due to the size of the shower space, the shower door is a wide folding system, so it's quite compact. We're trying to create like a layering of experiences. So there's open plan on the outside, and then the bathroom has been more dynamic, moodier. Breaking up the space, breaking up the experience, kind of extends the journey through the house and gives that impression as a bigger space.
Is it a book? Is it a mag? I'm a magazine, all right, but a magazine like no other. Look at me go. I'm designy and architecture-y, with experimental furniture and design ideas for your small home coming out my... and specifically designed page by page to make you go, ah, and oh, that's cool. Hang out with Italian artist Zuzu in her cave of dreams. Get inspired by Barcelona-based punk product designer Kuro Claret. Try not to smile in response to Camille Walala's Technicolor masterpieces. Delight in the shape-shifting, interactive and small space-friendly textile furniture of Luna Havercorn. Meet some bastards from Bangkok. Learn what car crashes have to do with Aldo Rossi's sexy coffee pots and poetic cemeteries. Get your small home's fix with 3 very different pads from Spain, Australia and Japan. And plunge into the playfully nostalgic world of Brazilian duo Two Lost Kids. You've never met a mag like me. Get your copy now.
This apartment is located in Melbourne, in the middle of the city, in a building formerly the Victorian Railway Administration Office. The original building was built in 1893. Then in 1997, it's converted to its current form. It consists of 240 apartments. Half of it is now the Grand Hotel. The client's brief to us is simple. It's just creating an apartment that's suitable for her lifestyle and for her cats. She doesn't cook much. There's eateries, takeaways right at her doorstep. Occasionally, she does wanting to invite guests and families over. The apartment layout is quite different originally. There was a bedroom closed off by low walls, which sits in the living space. And there was also a kitchen that's tucked away to the darkest corner of the apartment. This apartment only has a single sunlight aspect to the northwest. First thing we did was to take down the low walls, creating an open plan living. The major move we did was switching the bedroom and the kitchen location. We're showing bedroom will be in the darkest corner, and that's okay, whereas the kitchen becomes part of the open plan living. That way, every single corner of this apartment gets the daylight. So when you first enter the door, there's a full height unit to your right hand side, which is actually part of the kitchen. It consists of the fridge and pantry. The important thing though, it's a small nook that consists of the coat hangers for your bags, for your coats, even the umbrella stand is incorporated into it. Then the main kitchen is to the left of that. The new kitchen layout is right in the middle of the open plan living, so we want to make sure it's quite recessive and quite picturesque, like a gallery. We avoided the high storage and keep it as clean as we can. Working with that, we also chosen a white cooktop, so it camouflages into the benchtop. In terms of the benchtop, we use a Korean material. It's an engineered solar material. What it allows us to do is achieve an 8 meters continuous bench top. The material even wraps down to form the sink and the vanity. There's a central L-shaped lounge in the middle of the space facing a TV credenza. The TV credenza then extends to form the integrated seating for the dining. We designed the TV credenza to hide as much storage as possible, and there's even more storage below the seating. We custom designed the flexible table. It also doubles as a study and working desk. So in normal configuration, it is a round table suitable for a couple or for a single person. However, the table leaves can be folded out to form a table for a bigger gathering during the occasions when you invite guests and families over. The bedroom is located to the original kitchen. We created a timber nook to define the area and to provide extra sense of warmth. The whole thing is housed under a timber arch ceiling that also mirrors the original restored archway. The extra layer of the timber archway also provides additional noise barrier since the apartment is located so close to the train line. The full height mirror obviously increases the size of the space. There is wardrobe to both sides of the room. There's even a nook on either side as well that doubles as a bedside table and more storage. The sleeping is done by a queen-size Murphy bed that is hidden behind the full height mirror in the walk-in robe. The use of lighting in the space, we want to create a sense of warmth, so we use indirect uplighting to create a sense of softness. Bathroom is accessed by a secret door next to the kitchen. You have the kitchen bench top that flows into the bathroom that forms the vanity and the toilet behind. The bathroom also houses the laundry, and we even put the hot water unit in there, but halfway up the ceiling for space saving. I think there's two reasons to repurpose an old building. One, of course, is to address the housing issues, but just as importantly, it tells the story, the history of the city. And so for me, I think that is a very sustainable way to look at the housing issue in a growing city.
This is designed at 28 square metres as basically half the size of a one-bedroom apartment. It's meant to be half the price. It's meant to have half the embodied carbon. It's designed to have half the operational carbon and ideally half the bills. Nightingale was imagined as a triple bottom line housing model. Housing that was simultaneously affordable, sustainable, and a building that promotes community. Nightingale Preston is comprised of 55 apartments, one guest house shared by all of the residents, 2 commercial spaces, 21 bedroom apartments, 25 2-bedroom apartments, and then 7 Teilhaus apartments which have a 28 square metre footprint. So it's a German word for part of house, because the rest of the house exists everywhere else in the building. I'm Jeremy McLeod. I'm the design director and co-founder of Breathe Architecture. I'm also the co-founder of Nightingale Housing. This is Jam's Teilhaus. This building is located in Preston. It's 7 kilometres north of the centre of Melbourne. This is part of a broader project. It's called Preston Crossing, where there's some social housing, some townhouses, other apartments, and then this building that we're in, Nightingale Preston. Nightingale is a not-for-profit developer, so this project was developed where the housing was sold at cost, which is unlike most other housing development. The building's 100% electric, it's powered off 100% renewables, it's thermally efficient, it has no operational carbon attached to it, and importantly, Nightingale has a pay-to-rent scheme, which means that every resident in this building pays rent annually to the traditional owners in acknowledgement that this country was stolen, that these lands were never ceded, and that there's no treaty with the traditional owners. Rather than building big penthouses for a select few, on the rooftop we have these beautiful shared amenities. So we've got a shared laundry, there's some additional storage area, a dining area for functions that spills out onto the rooftop area. We have shared rooftop garden beds so people can grow vegetables on the roof. So there's a gardening committee that's formed in this building. There is a beautiful bathhouse that everyone gets to share. People with kids sit around having a chat while their kids kind of bathe together in summer. We're sitting in a 28 square metre tile house. We have a deck, a beautiful kitchen, a lounge area, a nook that Jam uses as a study, a bathroom, and upstairs we have the sleeping loft, which won't suit a lot of people, but it does suit young people who are looking for a smaller footprint, largely due to affordability. This Teilhaus is imagined as a new form of terrace house. There's a little seat and some steps. The gate then enables you to be able to have small kids or pets inside that enclosed area. And then the screen also provides this kind of growing platform for all of these climbers to grow up and vegetate the facade of the building. One of the things that we design into every one of our apartments, whether it be a tile house on the ground floor or an apartment on an upper level, is that we provide a planter box and a tap. You can treat your deck as an extension of your life, a place where you can wash down your boots or do some hobbies outside. Importantly, the entry door opens outwards. This is very unusual in Australia, but it's normal in colder European countries. It doesn't just give us a better thermal seal, but it provides us with space inside the very entry to be able to furnish it, to be able to customise it to your own needs. We've designed the entire building to be highly thermally efficient, which means we've got a building that doesn't require air conditioning to cool it in summer, but we have designed in Melbourne's climate zone hydronic heating throughout the entire building. And it's located next to the glass to make this little dining nook a beautiful, warm, cosy place to dine. The ceiling height in this space is around 4.5 metres, which gives you this great sense of volume. But as you step into the living area, by designing this simple light fitting and bringing it down, we make it cosier. We intentionally didn't design in furniture or shelves. You can see that Jam's put in this incredible mid-century piece, and we love the way that it doesn't touch the ground. So again, it kind of draws your eye up. It also feels spacious underneath. We also like how Jam has used the rug to frame the living room to define that space. The kitchen is made of stainless steel and E0 MDF. Imagine that someone wants to change this kitchen in 10 years' time and this kitchen gets pulled out. That stainless steel can be recycled, as can the MDF. And we also pick the kitchen up off the ground so that it seems to float in the space. The kitchen has a full-size induction cooktop with 4 burners, a full-size oven, an integrated dishwasher, a full-size integrated fridge, overhead cupboards, and then full-height storage above that. And most importantly, it has a full-size pantry. The stainless steel splashback can hold magnets, which means it can be used as a kitchen organiser. We add this stainless steel pot rail to be able to add the functionality where you need it above the sink. The space under the loft, in our design phase, we imagined this as a multifunctional space, and Jam chose to put in the desk through that design and construction process. With the desk, Jam chose a generous size so that he doesn't just have to work alone there, 2 people can actually work in this space. There is a full-size wardrobe in there, and then the joinery was designed around that to be able to effortlessly get as much storage in and around that desk as possible. We created a loft space with a relatively low ceiling height. The ladder is made of Victorian hardwood, and the handrail is made of a circular timber dowel to make it easier to go up and down. The loft level is enclosed by diamond mesh. It also talks to the industrial mesh that's outside our building that we use to grow plants on. Here you can see that Jam has used it to grow his devil's ivy on. Given the relatively low ceiling height, Jam uses a futon to be able to bring the height of the bed down and make it feel more spacious and lofty. The storage that runs through can be also used as a little reading nook, as a bench seat. In this instance, Jam's built in a hanging rail in the same galvanised pipe material as the fire services to be able to hang all of his hoodies on. The loft structure is made of hardwood timber beams, and we expose those beams to give a bit more height, a bit more volume underneath that space. We also carry that sense of volume and the exposed joists through into the bathroom. The bathroom doesn't have a window, but it reflects the light from the living room deep into the bathroom. And behind that mirror is a full-length shaving cabinet, so lots and lots of storage in that space. On the floor are Australian manufactured brick tiles, and they wrap up the floor in stack bond and all the way up the wall. So it's a singular material, which again gives the sense of height. The bathroom has a floating sink, and underneath it we use a copper S-trap pipe so that, if we're exposing the pipe, at least it looks beautiful and considered. We use an architecture of simplicity and architecture of reductionism. So when we take out things like additional ceiling lining to expose the concrete from the structure above, it gives us extra volume. In doing that, it means that we need to curate things like the kitchen exhaust. It means that we need to expose the fire services. So we work very carefully to curate those service runs, but also choose carefully the materials that we use. The floor is pre-finished cork. It's a highly sustainable material. In fact, it's a carbon sequester rather than a carbon emitter. It works to absorb impact sound and it's easy to maintain. This Teilhaus apartment is designed in a complex housing market where an entire generation has been locked out of housing security. We imagine that what we're providing is the starting point for someone's life, not the end point. So we think through the design from a functionality point of view. We think through the materials from a sustainability and a usability point of view. This is not for everyone. I understand that, but I do think that we need to be offering something that's different from a broken system to offer someone access to housing and housing security. This is one of our small attempts to try to drive some positive change in a very, very tough economic climate.
This apartment's built in the 1970s. There's 12 units in this apartment. My inspiration is definitely to do with the limitation and the constraint this apartment has. And so I want to see if I can fit a big house into a small apartment. I actually kept the layout pretty much as it is, including the internal walls and the plumbings. The design of the living space revolves around how to create a living and home office in the same space. It's a home and office hybrid. Spaces do need to appear and disappear when you need them to. Even comes down to the furniture you pick need to be flexible. My lounge chair can convert from a lounging to an office chair. And at nighttime that gets folds away and the TV reveals itself. The dining space isn't something I use every day, and it's only special occasions when guest visits. It slides out to form a very comfortable dining space for 4 to 6 people. The kitchen is definitely the feature. It's 4 meters long, so you got 3 meters of clear bench space. Everything is concealed. One of the constraints with this space is the lack of daylight into the kitchen. A window, it's punched through between the bathroom and kitchen to borrow daylight from the bathroom area. The glass between the bathroom and the kitchen, it's a privacy film and it's activated just by a press of a button. I keep the bedroom minimal. Everything else is very pared back. Want to feel it's a space to relax at the end of the day. This apartment doesn't have any outdoor space. I need to bring the sense of outdoor in here. To achieve that, I put a green wall on the bathroom. The moss is real moss being preserved. For me, that's a backdrop for land to put real plants in front of it. to shower, you're standing on the timber tiles and surrounded by green. It kind of refreshes you. One material used in the living is the mirror for the cabinet doors and skirting. So that is used to give the illusion of an extended, bigger space. Designing small space is a very tailored way of designing, so everything needs to be carefully considered.
We made this for you, you know. This chunky little magazine is jam-packed with all the things you love. It's designy, it's delicious. It's a little bit naughty in all the right ways. Sexy small apartments, creative characters, and delicious design. Get all the ideas and inspiration you want and need for joyful, compact, and creative city living. And get it delivered to your door 4 times a year with free shipping. That's hot.
I like to do DIY tasks, and this just happened to be the biggest DIY task that I'd ever done. My dad has been renovating my family home for 30 plus years and is still ongoing. The years of helping him renovate created in me, I guess, a hunger to want to complete a renovation project. I want him to see that, actually. The design of the apartment or the renovation, I would probably describe as an attempt at introducing natural materials. Maybe trying to bring some warmth and like softer tones and edges into the space. I'm Sean, I work as a sustainable building officer at local government. This is my apartment, which I renovated myself. We're in Brunswick West. This building was constructed in the 60s. And when you look at the old aerial footage from back then, there's a tip and the pub, which is about 100 metres away. The pub's still there, the tip's now turned into a park, which is great. I purchased this apartment in 2022, I think. I was attracted to this apartment because of the simplicity of it. It had good bones and the interiors are pretty simple to work with. Also, the cost of it as well allowed me to have a bit of a vision for the renovation that I wanted to do. Being on the top level with single glazing, no external shading, unfortunately it was a bit of a hot box, so the insulation aspect was really important to me, particularly from what I do as my job, which is try and make buildings more sustainable. It had a really big kitchen island, which kind of broke the living and the kitchen area up, and it didn't have much storage. The main change in the end was really just the removal of the kitchen island. I had this grand idea at the very beginning to knock out the wall in between the living room and the bedroom, but there was implications in terms of structural and then extra cost. My budget for the renovation was $20,000, mainly because I only had $20,000 left, so I had to make that work. And we pretty much got everything done in that budget. I was very fortunate to have friends help me with free labour and a place to live while I was doing the renovation. I only really paid for the essential trades like an electrician and a plumber. I would drag as many of my friends over as I could, particularly during the demolition. I think they enjoyed that. We would drink a few beers and they'd bring hammers. When it got to doing the renovation, I could feel my uncertainty about what I was doing, let alone them. So I think then they transitioned to more of a drinking beers and just watching roll, but I needed the emotional support. Yeah. When you walk into the apartment, I guess the first thing you see is the window and a great view of the pub. Immediately to the right, we've got the existing wardrobe with the original paneling on top. I've painted the frame around it to kind of create a bit of separation and tie it back to the other timber elements that are in the apartment now. On the left, we've turned that into the pantry for the kitchen, and then turn one on the right to a bit of a linen closet. The kitchen itself is pretty simple IKEA cabinets And then we've had custom cut plywood fronts stained a pistachio green and then covered with a sealer. We've got a recycled spotted gum bench top which has been sanded and oiled on top of that. I've replaced a standalone electric oven with a matching oven and induction cooktop. There's no dishwasher, so went for a bit of an oversized square basin. Sometimes I regret not having a dishwasher, but ultimately it seems to work. Doing everything DIY is great until you realize that you don't know how to do edging on tiles. So the timber edging was another last minute thing. It's ended up being perfect because it matches with the rest of the timber in the apartment and the bench top. The railing that holds a few of the utensils was actually the shower curtain rod from the original shower. Originally there was no extraction fan in the kitchen, and I haven't installed one because the apartment has really good cross ventilation. The dining room table is a simple white tulip table from Marketplace, but I believe it's an old IKEA version. The chairs were also purchased from Marketplace. I've reupholstered them myself. I think I got them for $10 each. The lounge room is pretty simple. Ordered a couch through Mond. I like the flexibility and the functionality of it as opposed to having a static sofa unit, I guess. Opted not to have a television and instead went for a projector which I've mounted on the ceiling. I have no regrets, it's really good. It feels like every night's a movie night, and I don't have the black square of having a TV that's not turned on constantly. When you walk into the bedroom, I guess the first thing is the door, which is a lovely fluted glass hardwood timber door, which I picked up secondhand. It was getting pulled out of a really old Art Deco apartment. The wardrobe, I just used IKEA Pax units, which are obviously just a standardized size. So they don't go all the way to the ceiling. So to overcome that, it was to oversize the doors. And so when it's all closed, it looks like one seamless unit that goes up to the ceiling. And then when you open them, you actually get an extra shelf on top of the wardrobe itself. The desk in the office is the old door between the living room and the bedroom. So I chopped that in half, and then just using some offcuts was able to build a stand for my computer as well. My friend and architect Marcus in Sydney, he was able to draw up the shelving unit for me that wasn't as bulky and overhead of my office area. The bed frame is a low Japanese base. The mattress is a futon as well, just to keep it low to the ground. The bedside tables were again a lovely Marketplace find for $50 each. There's a few art pieces on the wall. The one closest to the window is just a print I got from Etsy. The one in the middle is a painting by a friend of mine, Ara Cho. And then on the right is a print from another friend of mine, Octo, who's a tattooist and an artist in Melbourne. The bathroom, I kept the original tiling on the floors, which is an old green and white check. And the toilet has remained the same. Everything else has changed. We replaced the basin with more of a simple modern square design. Again, using offcuts, I was able to build a bit of a mirror box. And underneath a floating shelf, it hides the plumbing. I don't mind having it all exposed, I guess. Some people, it might not be their aesthetic. The door of the shower is a custom cut fluted glass and was one of the few things where I paid experts to do that. I don't want to be held responsible for holding a $1,200 piece of glass. The ceiling is excess hardwood flooring that was installed into an apartment in South Melbourne. It was painted in a mold resistant paint, trying to bring a little bit of that Scandinavian sauna vibe into the bathroom.
The excess tiles from the shower and the splashback we used to create a bit of a skirting board along the bottom as well. This apartment block has 6 apartments in it, and there are shared laundries in between each of the levels. There is no heating or cooling in this apartment, there's no air conditioner. The 2 main insulation things is the ceiling. We've put 3.5 pink bats, and on the north and west internal walls installed Cooltherm K17 board. I've gone for cork flooring. Cork is a great acoustic insulator. It also adds additional thermal kind of insulation to the floor as well. When I wake up in the morning and I look around, I'm still a bit pinching myself that I was able to do it, that the vision came together. I guess my advice is to actually think about how you're going to execute either a design or the process of installing something, making sure that you measure twice, cut once, but to know that you can overthink it as much as you want and you'll probably still miss something. So to be easy on yourself if you do make a mistake. It's just a part of the DIY process. You get experts in obviously for any of the electrical, any of the plumbing, and probably make sure you treat your friends nicely so they can help you when you want to do something as grand as this.
This apartment building was built in the 1960s.
And it consists of 15 apartments. We liked the mid-century vibe of this building, and there was some really kind of redeeming qualities of modernist architecture.
When we first found this apartment, it was a 1-bedroom, and we were really looking forward to finding a great 1-bedroom apartment that we could convert into a 2-bedroom, which would be user-friendly for our family. Hi, my name's Lauren.
And I'm Nick, and we're the owners and designers of this apartment.
When we walked in, we straight away noticed the beautiful original brickwork, which has just got the most amazing character. We decided that had to be the key feature to keep, as well as the glazing wall that was part of the kitchen.
A lot of these mid-century buildings from the 60s and 70s that had separate kitchens in 1-bedroom apartments, and we saw that as a real opportunity.
We decided that we'd convert the existing kitchen into a bedroom and try and bring that into a bit more of a modern approach. So once you walk into the apartment, you immediately walk into the study nook.
The way that you're led into the central living core with the angled wall creates an opening into this space.
With the living area, you really are right in the heart of the apartment, where your back is to this beautiful brick wall looking out to this amazing northern and eastern aspect with the natural light. So we designed the curtain to be able to be used with dual purpose. So if someone was working in the office nook, just giving them that extra element of privacy so that the living space can be separate from the office. At the end of the day, and you just want to be lounging around in the living quarters, we can just block the kitchen off so you don't have to look at the dishes and things like that.
As well as a delineation of space, it's also a textural element. It helps acoustically, it also softens visually. It was important for us with the kitchen that we integrated all of the appliances. We didn't want the visual distractions of seeing fridges and dishwashers and things like that. It's all integrated into one reasonably compact unit.
We do have a full fridge, a freezer, oven and a dishwasher in there as well.
Having a purpose-built dining bench rather than a table and chairs, what we saw as important. The dining bench then acts as a secondary sofa. It integrates the meals and the living area as one big lounge room.
That design flow was really important to us as well, having that continuity across the spaces.
On the existing brick wall where the protruding bricks, we used a brass angle and some blocks of plywood where we could create a movable or adjustable shelving system. With the master bedroom, we actually incorporated the bed into the existing built-in robe. So what that allowed us to do was create a nook for a queen-size bed while still having enough rooms for the kids to play on the floor and things like that.
We also added in an extra hanging rail for those occasions when we do have more clothing and things to hang up so that we weren't taking up too much floor space. The apartment has floor-to-ceiling glazing, so we wanted to try and maximise the light coming in, but also try and add a little element of privacy. So we popped on some perforated steel screens on the bottom glazing, and that's really allowed us, when we want to put the blinds down, to still have privacy but also let filtered light through. It also gave us some security when the children were playing in front of the glass.
The original kitchen, which we converted into the second bedroom, we've created a raised plinth of plywood storage boxes. In addition to adding additional storage, which is really important in a small space, it also allows the services from the original kitchen to run underneath and connect to the new kitchen.
It was definitely a really good playground as well for the kids up there. The original glazing, we wanted to try and add an extra layer with having a curtain over the top, so it could act as an acoustic barrier and also a privacy barrier as well.
It would have a more cocooned kind of feel rather than public feel of what the kitchen might have had in the original building.
The bathroom is the one room where we decided to do a little bit of a change up and maybe bring in a little bit more modern colours, textures. So we did do a bit of a concrete render over the top of the existing tiles.
So we kind of saw the bathroom as like a bathing, kind of like a vault or a cave. We created a little wall-hung storage unit out of form ply, as well as the vanity and the area where the washing machine kind of lives. We also used black perforated steel in the bathroom just to screen some of the the visual bulk of a washing machine. The whole fit out is constructed out of a lime washed plywood. We chose this material for a number of reasons: workability, affordability and durability. You can bang it up, the kids can use it, and it's not a precious material, which is really important as well.
These amazing old buildings, they're so solid that they really do have so much life to live, and we just wanted to breathe some new life into it.